Hey there, this is going to be a video about how I installed a Stealth Hitch on a 2020 Mercedes E450. It's not a DIY video specifically, it's more of what I did as I was installing a thing. So hopefully this gives you an idea. I was really scared about just yanking or pulling or doing whatever to get this off. And there are some times where you just pull. But it's also evident if you pull just right, you could break a tab off of the bumper cover. And I don't want to do that. It'd probably be fine to break one, but a couple, might loosen up and be a problem. So hopefully this will help you. This is not a professional video at all. It's just clips of me trying to show you some things. It's bad. So hopefully you get something out of it.
So I went online and I got, I can't remember if it was all, I think it was All Data. And you can subscribe for a month or whatever you want. And so I got the documentation, I think, to remove the rear bumper and get to where I need to put the hitch on. The reason I would like a hitch is for my bikes. So I don't think I'll be taking a kayak on it, but you never know. So but it's nice to have a hitch, and for whatever reason Mercedes doesn't sell the Mercedes specific hitch here in the States, and it's impossible to order, or it seems impossible to order from Germany. So we got the Stealth Hitch, and we'll go through the process. I think that it takes to do this to this specific car and model. First thing you got to do is attach the lining here, which is pretty straightforward. You only have to do this bit right here to get this part off, the bumper part. So you remove the push pins, and there's a couple of there's a bolt and some push pins that go along in there. If you're looking at the back, you go under, there's a screw here and a screw in this space here. And then there's screws. It's essentially the same on the other side. Oh, there's screws here on the sides too. I don't think they're plastic, but they're lightweight. So we have to take off the side panels. So in order to do that, you have to take off this guy. And in previous models, at least 15 years ago, this was pretty easy to take off. And in this one, I think they did a better job of holding it down. There are 3 screws, but once you get those loose, there's some tabs down here too, just to pull out tab. Once you get those loose, the documentation says just unclip, like, no problem. But it's actually in there really well. I was scared to pry in fear if I would pull something, but it is just clipped in. They're just really tight. So I've been taking some leverage, give me some leverage, and gently pulling up until the pin pops. And hopefully that doesn't make the clips weaker. But so I'm taking this particular one, and I'm getting it under. There are 2, hopefully you can see this, get the pretty edge, and then that gets into what looks to be like the reinforced actual piece. You get under that, and I'm taking this and I'm popping it that way. Pulling up, you're gonna probably, or pulling back, you're gonna break your tool, or you're gonna bend this if you pull straight up. So that seems to work. So she's off. Those are the clips, and it really is just this might help you if you're doing this. If you get close to them, you can probably twist that technique I was showing before and pop them right off. Once that's done, it just comes right off. So more scary stuff. I don't know, for some reason I feel like it should be a little more obvious, but this looks real clean. So it looks like it's tugged or part of it, and I just tugged here and it's coming loose. I guess there's a clip there. Hopefully that didn't break off, but you can see that orange clip probably should have pulled, but it pulled loose. I'll probably use a tool to help so I don't bust anything, but yeah, it looks like it just pulls off. This is so you can get to the tail light. In order to get that off, you have to take these side panels off. In order to get the side panels off, you have to unclip that, undo that one, that cover over there, which unscrews. You have to get over here, pull this trim off, pull that pretty trim off, and then I guess release the light. I haven't got to this part yet, and then the bumper will come down, and of course you'll have to unplug all the sensors and all that, so you have to be careful not to just pull it right off. So I don't know. All right, so getting these side panels off, they are just kind of clipped in. I haven't gotten all the way off, but it might be far enough to reach the tail light stuff, hopefully. I did pull that out loose. It seems that it's just glued in, so I'll probably just get some sort of glue and glue back in, pull those clips, put them in that, and push it in. Should be okay. Okay, so let's see if I can show you guys where you need to be. We're here, pulling this cover back, and I can't see it for that, but there's a moisture cover here that pulls out, and you can feel the screws inside, or the nuts inside, to hopefully get that off. Now I'm at the point where I need to figure out what to do with the connector, because I don't think I can get to all the screws. There's 3 with that connector in the way. So progress? I don't know the actual term for them, but these are the moisture protectors or barriers that kind of go in the sheet metal. There's 2 separate ones that goes in like this. So once you get it loose, you can pull it through the connector, and this one is on the far side of the fender. Not too far, but it's up against there. So get those covers off, and you should be able to reach in and yeah, get to the nuts. Once you're there, you should go to the next step and actually take that off. All right, so you know, if you're afraid to, so I got to this point, I didn't have to take all that off back there. This starts pulling here, and I don't know, I'm sure it's just clipped, but I don't want to take it much further than that, so I'm able to squeeze in here and get to the little nut. Should be able to get all of them. This is an 8mm. The screws that have been in the bumper so far, along the bottom, which I think I showed earlier, they've been 10. So just make a note. So far it's 8 and 10s, and the paperwork, the all data stuff doesn't have size of bolts or any kind of torque values on them. So there you go. Okay, so we're able to manipulate the light a little bit. Hopefully you can see here the thing to be cautious. Once you get the bolts undone or the nuts undone, there's a nipple. Hopefully you can see that there. And it makes it seem like it's very difficult, or you've not got the all the nuts out, or like you're gonna break it apart. So just some force, gentle force here, and it'll come loose. I've left it on the plugged in, because I couldn't really reach the plug, so we'll reach around and get it now. There's 2 tabs in the plug. This one's just a simple, that's what actually releases it, but there's to hold the connector for the connector. There's a tab, and you can get confused, so don't worry about that one. Success. All right, so I've pulled away here, very similar on the right side, but you can't, you might be able to squeeze through, but it's easier to pull this loose, and I've gotten that loose without breaking anything this time. I did take off the anchor here. It's a 45, and that'll help slide this out a bit more. So I think we can just squeeze in and undo the bolts to the light there, because we don't need to take out everything. So yeah, I'm reaching in through here to get to the outside bolt, or nut, I'm sorry, which is probably right here. I got these 2 off by reaching through here. Like, it's a tight squeeze, but it's doable. But this one seems to be easier to go through. This, I guess there are fuses and stuff back here, so yeah, that's what I'm doing. Alright, well, we're back at it. We got just about everything off, except now we need to get to a couple of screws. I think it's just 2, hopefully it is, and they are right underneath everything, and they have these long, I'm trying to see if you can see, these long posts, bolts, or I don't know what you want to call it, go all the way back to the 10mm nut. That is a pretty long socket, and I didn't have anything that long, so I ordered overnight an Amazon tool, which is this guy, which does this. So I was able to fit it around the post and squeeze it in there, manipulate, shake, push, get it loose, and use a magnet to unravel it. Yeah, so be prepared for that. Okay, so I thought I had the last couple of screws out, or nuts off, to take this bumper off, or the cover off. If you're in here and you get to this point, you take the outer shell, there will be a couple of fasteners here, just the push pin fasteners, and then we can get in and kind of pull this back, and that should release the rest, supposedly. I'm gonna have to get up here and see how this is fastened. I'm sure it's just clipped, but yanking's not good, so we'll see how that goes now. All right, more of me doing the crazy stuff so you don't have to. If you can see, I'll try to light it up, but there's a block in here that's bolted to this inner fender, and that's basically a series of clips, and you can pull them down. You can pull the fender down and unclip as you go. If you, Mercedes, I think all data said you can mask this, or suggested you mask the fender here, and maybe if you pry something there, it'll help you. But the way I did it is I got under through the fender well here and pushed the clips until I realized which way they were going, and I just kind of pulled it down, and it pulled itself free. It made a rip noise, but that's how you get this part off. Now we go to the other side and get that side off. Okay, so now we're ready to pull this off, and you can see just through here, that's where that bolt nut goes. I'm going to be real careful here. This looks like I can push down. I think whatever that blocking is part of the bolted to the car, so I'm going to try to manipulate these tabs so I don't break them off. But she's pretty close to being free. Yeah, so I was right. We gotta unplug the sensors here, and that's down here. If you can see down there, but this bracketing that's mounted here, you have these tabs. This one comes out easy, and this one you have to push down so that you can release this black one here, this black tab, and just kind of, I used a body leverage, some sort of plastic that won't mar or scratch. Worked out well. So she's down just to get this off. So the Stealth Hitch, you're gonna have to unmount this, which hopefully isn't too difficult at this point, and then put the Stealth Hitch bit up behind it, and it should fall under the frame here, under this bumper here, and then bolt the bumper back off. And apparently that works. We shall see. That's my turn. We shall see. There each day. So we're at this point where we think we can just get these bolts and knock this out and kind of be done. And of course not. These bolts, or these nuts, are on the outside, but these you have to go into the car, and there are little access holes here. I don't know if I can get it, but they'll be in here. And of course, because I haven't taken everything apart, I have to try squeeze in there. Hopefully have the right socket for it. If I don't, then I'll have to finagle something else. So yeah, that's where we're at. All right, if you look in the back of the car, you're also going to want some sort of geared wrench, because you're not really going to get anything in there from the outside. Some foam. Of course, some sort of insulation air. Most of it stayed there, so that's good. So we're getting ready to put the Stealth Hitch in the on the bumper. Unfortunately, you kind of have to do them at the same time because the bolts are here. It doesn't seem too much of a easy way to put the Stealth Hitch up and then put the actual bumper on top of that. So try to do it all at one time. Okay, so part of the kit from Stealth is new bolts or new nuts for the bumper, and they're 15mm instead of 16. Don't know, they seem to be a little bit more flared out than the factory, so I think they're considering the weight and possibly the what the hitch will be doing, carrying stuff or pulling stuff, so they give you probably a little more stout. Use those, that way you know you're okay. All right, so I've cut a notch out for the hitch where it actually sits down a little bit beyond the fascia here, the bumper. So I actually used the Dremel to do quick bits and then clean it up with a some tin snips. It worked pretty well. I've kind of estimated this is about 4.5 inches deep and almost 5 across, like 4 3/4. I went a little over so there's no rubbing. I don't want it to shake and and cause any kind of rubbing, make noise or anything. So we'll see how that goes. I'll test fit and see how that looks. Hopefully this works out without cutting too much more. Okay, far from perfect. This is the test fit. Got it pushed as far as it'll go, and this is it from the back and real low, so you can't see it. But I didn't do the best job of evening it out, but well, you might not be able to see it, so oh well. I mean, if I have to, I can cut more. I got the kit with the towing package, so it has the chain areas for the chain to hold on to, so that's the clearance for that. And then there's wiring, but I'm gonna hold off on that right now. I'm not in the mood to try to do wiring to a Mercedes. So all right, so we got it just up, not all the way pinned up, and I'm gonna do that next. See how she comes out. When you're putting the fender back on, or the bumper back on, right here it won't line up right here in the corner. So you start here. I can't do it with the camera in hand, but you start on the end and work your way back. This requires kind of a lift up and lift out, and it'll go on. But just be aware, because it's easy to click in and miss that and then have to start over. So okay, this is what she looks like. The 2-inch in it that I'll be using for bike rack. Yeah, I would say cut more. I'm gonna have to go back. I've pinned her up already. I'm not taking her back down, but I could probably cut around here because you have to get to the key release that's here, and then there's actually a latch on the other side to release the hitch once it's up. So you need room on both sides to cut, and because it's over here, because of the where it's angled, you won't see the cut. I was really afraid that it was gonna show, and I didn't want it to show, and so I cut conservatively. Also, I was a little afraid of cutting too much so that some of the panel might rattle, but I don't think it will. So, all right. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the lights on, and I don't think I'll worry about cutting the rest. I'll just deal with it, because I can reach. You can kind of reach beyond the bumper cover here and get under there and deal with it. It's just a pain. So keep that in mind when you're doing it. So I found something else that you might struggle with when so I'm putting the paneling and stuff back together. The light just went out. But in here, if you can see this pin down at the bottom there. Yeah, if you don't get those out, it's really hard to try to, if they don't come out with pulling the panel over, it's really hard to get them out. And I haven't found a way, but you might want to be aware of that. The paneling doesn't bend enough to kind of slip them back on while they're still in the hole. So I've been trying to get it out of the hole without using pliers or anything metal, but it hasn't worked so far. So another note in the process. So for those orange pins, I just needed something a little stiffer. This is yet another Harbor Freight tool. That's where my blue ones are. The blue ones are a little more flexible, which isn't bad, but that was stiffer. So that was able to get those little orange pins out so that you can properly put the panel back in. So pushing more stuff together, getting closer here to test drive. All right, so it's back on. I'm gonna take a test drive after I clean up and put tools away and all that. I wanted to mention, not to forget the sensor connector for the sonar or whatever the parking sensors are. The connector's actually in here, right about here. But you can reach it underneath if you forget. And also, I'm not a small guy anymore, but I was able to squeeze under to get the bolts that are along the bottom here and actually reach up and get that sensor connected. It's not difficult, but probably not. So that was a little test ride. I think I got to 40 in there, and there's a couple bumps. There's movement, but no real noise. And I mean, that you're gonna have movement on that kind of hitch anyway. So 50-pound bike, hefty rack, no problem. Looks good too.